Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today on the Divine Messages podcast. My name is Karina, and I am a psychic medium out of Calgary, Alberta. I have one of my lovely students coming on here with me today. She is going to be sharing a part of her life that isn't easy to talk about, but we both felt that it would be important to share with the hope that it may help someone listening. So, everyone, please help me welcome Emma to the podcast. Emma, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Karina?
I'm good. I know that this is not going to be an easy podcast for you, for me, and for maybe some of our listeners out there, but I also felt that it was really important for us to be very open and transparent and share with the hope that maybe we could help someone out there that's struggling in their own right with what we are about to talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, let's take everybody back in time to how we first connected and the journey that you started off on.
Okay. So from what I remember, like how we met, I was going to see this acupuncture girl, and my cousin referred me to her, and she was saying that she's got like a little bit of psychic ability, and I was like, okay, like that's kind of cool. So I went and saw her on July 2nd of I think 2024. When I went and saw her, she had told me that she felt got this vibe that something really bad happened to me and it's changed the way that I think of myself. She told me I need to journal it and figure it out. And and I was like, okay, like that's kind of weird. So, and then my sister actually went and saw you for a group reading. So my sister told me that I should go see you, and she spoke very highly of you. And so I contacted you. We set up an appointment on July 4th of 2024. And when I came to see you, the moment I sat down, you brought up that night that something happened to me. And I completely forgot about it, blocked it out for like the last 4 years, 5 years. And when you brought it up, I like the feeling inside me just like sunk and I was like, oh no, like this is coming up. Um, yeah, and that's kind of how we met and that's how I was guided to you.
Right. So when you sat down with me, I mean, usually within the first minute or so, I tap in and I say to the person's guides, hey, why are you bringing them here? And first of all, from my perspective, I didn't know really who you were. I think you had mentioned that one of your siblings had come to a group reading that I had done. So I think that's all I knew about you. And you walked into my house and first of all, I just was mesmerized. I mean, you're beautiful from the outside, but I actually saw into your soul and looked into your eyes and was like, oh my goodness, she's so sweet. And you came into my room, sat down, and I just like said to my guides and your guides, okay, why did you bring her? What does she need to know? And I instantly watched this movie and I was taken aback. I didn't know what to say. It was within probably the first minute. And
Yeah.
or even 30 seconds, I think. I just looked, right at you and went, oh boy, I've got to tell you something that I just saw. And what I had seen in my psychic vision was you being assaulted, sexually assaulted, and drugged. And I thought, oh my God, not someone else, because that has happened to me. I know I have talked about multiple assaults in different episodes that I've done on the podcast, but when I saw it, I thought, oh no, not someone else. And I just wanted to help you in that moment. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I have to take you under my wing. I have to help you through this because I knew that this was something that was just reawakened within you that um, was buried very deep. And you came to me. I think you were guided to me because I have experienced that. And I knew that I was going to be able to help you on the journey to healing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So I know this may be a lot to talk about, and I don't want it to be difficult for you to share, but I think it is important for you to explain a little bit about what happened to you, so that maybe this might help somebody else because sometimes we overlook things and we have gut feelings and we go against them.
Yeah. So the night that that happened, I was hanging out with some acquaintances from a school that I went to, like in junior high, elementary, and I reconnected with all of them. And some of them weren't very good people, and I knew that. Um, One person in particular, we were hanging out, and I went to his house, and we had a couple of drinks, and I was dealing with a lot of anxiety back then. I'm not sure why. I was also on sleeping pills too to help me sleep. And he gave me, um, well, he told me it was a Xanax. And I was like, okay, like I'll take that. Like I take Ativan. What's the difference?
Hmm.
Well, it wasn't Xanax. And all I remember is dozing off on his bed, like completely, like my body was just like numb. I couldn't move, but I kept waking up. Like I was in and out of consciousness.
Hmm.
And I remember I woke up the first time and he was groping my chest, and he kind of stopped and was kind of like all weird, and then I dozed back off. I remember being like awake and cl like closing my eyes, like passing out, and he would come in and out of the room, and I don't know what he was doing. And then one particular memory that I do have waking up was him on top of me.
Hmm.
Um, and that was the last vivid memory that I have of being in and out of consciousness. And then the next morning, I think I slept for I don't know how many hours, but he woke me up in the morning and he said, "Okay, it's time to go." So I got out of his bed and I my whole body felt weird. I remember like a sinking feeling because my underwear didn't feel right, my shorts didn't feel right on, and then I was like, "Oh no, like something's not right, like something happened." And I just remember being like, "Okay, like it's okay, like you'll figure it out." Whatever. He drove me home, took me to Tim Hortons, bought me a bagel and bought me a nice cap and dropped me off at my house. And when I got home, I called my sister and I said, I don't know what happened last night. And I said, I feel funny down there. I said my underwear wasn't put on properly and my shorts feel weird. Like they weren't on like how I would normally put them on.
Hmm.
And sister actually told me to go to urgent care and get looked at. And I said to her, I'm like, I can't even do that. I said, I don't even want to know. I said, if you did anything, I don't want to know.
Wow.
And from that day on, I completely buried it. And yeah, I pretended like nothing happened up until I saw you. And then when I saw you, it was like almost like reliving that and then feeling how I felt the next morning, like that sinking feeling. I think I felt that for months. And I just had to like sit with it and deal with it. And yeah, I went and saw you for healing. Yeah, it's been a journey.
And I remember that day, the minute that I brought it up, it was full understanding, full remembering of that assault. And you just sat there in my room and you just started sobbing. And I thought, oh my God, like, I'm so sorry that I had to bring this up right away. But it was, I'm getting goosebumps as I say this to you now. It wasn't me, it was your guides. They were wanting you to deal with this and not to have it buried.
Yeah.
They wanted you to address it and feel it. And I say that all the time, right? Feel it to heal it. But you had stifled it so
Mhm.
far down that I really think that there was a part of you that convinced yourself that really nothing had happened, absolutely nothing. And when I watched the full thing happening in my mind, in my psychic vision, I thought, oh my goodness, she doesn't even remember this. And I had to say something. And I did. I'm not going to lie. I felt horrible in that moment as a healer and a psychic sitting there telling you, hey, I see this assault that happened to you within 30 seconds of meeting you. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But I knew that it was absolutely necessary. There was zero question in my mind that I had to blurt this out to you. And I remember saying to you, look, this isn't going to be easy. This is going to be brutal and it's going to be so difficult, but you have to go through this. You have to feel it. You have to let this go and you have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Um, and I said, the next few months are going to be difficult, but I see you in Bali for some reason. And you looked at me funny. And I said, no, I don't know why. They just told me Bali. You were supposed to go to Bali and something's going to happen and you're going to start the healing process. And I think it was months later, you actually did end up going.
Yeah, I found a wicked deal on flights and then I came back for healing, like for
Hmm.
Reiki. And then I told you, and then you were just like, every hair in your body stood up and you had like goosebumps. And yeah, you were like, you needed this. And I really did need it. That was like the whole starting point of me healing.
Yeah, I really think that they guided you to Bali to kind of, I know it sounds so cheesy, but to find yourself, to go within and feel it all and cry about it and let it out and understand that this particular incident happened and you had to find a way through it. You couldn't just stifle it down anymore. You couldn't drink it away, smoke it away, none of that. Like we have to
Yeah.
feel it. And when I had that vision of you in Bali, I kept thinking, okay, I saw you extremely emotional. I mean, I couldn't help what I saw, but I knew that it was just going to pour out of you. And so you came and took your Reiki level 1 and 2 before you went to Bali so that you could
Yeah.
kind of unleash some more healing.
Healing while I was there.
Yeah. And would you say that doing Reiki kind of helped you along the journey a little bit or not?
Oh, for sure. Like, I feel like it's even opened up my psychic ability way more than what it has too. Like, my intuition is very strong right now.
Which is amazing. And I think that's why they guided you to come to your Reiki because even when I went and did my Reiki, I went into it not to help anyone else. Not, I mean, I wanted to help people, but that's not why I took Reiki. I took Reiki because I wanted to help myself to heal because I
Mhm.
was so broken. And I'm glad that they guided you to come do that as well because it was almost like Reiki's like opening a doorway to another realm. And when we go into that realm, we are able to heal on a very, very deep level. And then in turn, we get to help others someday with that healing. And so
Yeah.
I knew that it was important for you to come. I knew that they had guided you to me for a reason. I mean, there's so many healers in Calgary, and you could have gone to see so many different mediums and Reiki masters. But I think because of what I had experienced myself being drugged and assaulted was why they sent you to me because I could truly empathize with you and help you through it.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. I remember when you told me in the reading, you should do Reiki. And I looked at you and I'm like, what? Like, what is that? And I was like, nah, I can't do that. And then
Right.
I thought about it. And I'm like, well, I mean, if it helps me heal, then yeah, I'll do it. And then
Hmm.
I did my level 1 and 2, and I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm not going to do my master's. I don't have that ability. And lo and behold, I went and did my master's.
Yep, because you're guided
Yeah,
to it and that's that other level of healing that you can do for yourself and
yeah,
eventually, helping others. And I know you have a big purpose. You're quite young, but you are just starting off and you will be helping so many people through very similar situations. And the level of empathy that you have, and people that have had multiple wounds and deep traumas are the strongest healers because we have this need to just help the world and help people through and do whatever we can so that no one else has to suffer either, right?
yeah.
Now, I wanted to touch on a couple of topics. It's been probably bugging me for the last few weeks, I would say, really strongly, because I came across these old photographs that I had posted some of them actually on my Instagram about a week ago. And it was the episode that I had posted was called Insecurity. And I had found these photographs from back when I was in my 20s. And there was one particular photograph that I didn't post because it was a very provocative looking photo. But then I have sat back thinking, why can't I post this photo? Why is it that I have to worry what others are going to think of that because I look provocative in it? But when that photo was taken, my husband was standing right beside me, looking directly at me while the photographer took it. And so it was a very provocative photo, but I was, again, looking at my husband. But all I kept thinking after I saw this photo was that why can't I look provocative and not feel beautiful, right, in that moment
Mhm.
without feeling that I could be violated or someone's looking at me in a way that they want to um, assault me?
Oh, I know. It's crazy. Be able to do or wear what we want and just feel
Yes.
confident and feel comfortable, but
We
we
should be
can't.
able to
Yeah.
walk down the street in a short skirt and feel beautiful in that short skirt. Hell, I should be able to walk naked down a street or on a beach and not have someone think that I want to be assaulted or I'm asking for it because that
Yeah.
is pure bullshit. I
Yeah.
just get so angry when I think about it and I'm like, oh, so I asked for it because I was wearing that low shirt, or I asked for it because I was wearing a short skirt. Most times, correct me if I'm wrong, but women dress for other women. We don't dress to have men look at us. Sometimes we
You
don't
do it
even
for
dress for other
yourself.
women. We dress for ourselves. We dress
Yeah.
because we put that on. Sometimes I'll walk around in a dress at my house. I work out of my home and I will put a dress on because it makes me feel
Good.
good that
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I should be able to wear whatever I want without having to worry that I'm going to be violated or someone's going to look at me the wrong way and think that I asked to be assaulted or asked to be violated in some way. It blows my mind. And I think there's so many arguments in court where they'll say, well, the woman was wearing this, or
Yeah.
um, the arguments are ridiculous. I don't know if you ever heard the episode that I had done about being assaulted on an airplane, but I was 17 flying on a red eye with my father sitting beside me and my brother and his best friend in front of me. And it was a red eye. And I had fallen asleep. I was wearing jeans that day and a t-shirt. Okay. So I'm not even saying I was wearing a skirt. And had I even been wearing a skirt, still does not make it okay. But
Okay.
I had jeans on and I had woken up probably about 2 hours into the flight because it was a red eye and everybody was sleeping with this guy's hands between my legs rubbing me.
Oh,
And oh
God.
yeah, oh yeah, full on.
People
Like,
out there.
and I remember nudging his arm like, whoa, what the heck is happening? And he just kept going. And my brother's best friend happened to turn and look and saw it happening. And I got up from the seat, went to the back, had a full panic attack with the flight attendants in the back. And they ended up bringing me up to the pilots and told them what had happened. And that new law had passed in Canada that year. So I would have been 17. So however many years that is ago.
Mhm.
But so yeah, they had just passed a new law at that time that had stated even if I chose not to charge him, that the RCMP would still charge him with assault. It was, I don't remember the law at the time, but I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I didn't want to charge him because I was so afraid. I was scared to death, right? So, long
Yeah.
story short, they moved the guy. Once the plane landed, the RCMP came aboard, arrested him in front of everybody. We had to go to the police station at 2 o'clock in the morning. We all had to do statements. And I ended up getting subpoenaed back to court 6 months later. And I had to take the stand. And this is what pisses me off. His lawyer tried to say that because I had offered him a piece of gum at the beginning of the flight, that I asked for it.
What does gum have to do with it? What?
Because I
This
was being
justice
nice to
system is
the guy.
crazy here.
It is
Oh
crazy.
my God.
Because I had been nice to him, they tried to say that I provoked him. And
Wow.
I just sat there sobbing on the stand, and I ended up getting off the stand. And a few months later, they subpoenaed my brother's best friend and then one of the flight attendants. And because the flight attendant testified and said how distraught I was, and my brother's best friend had seen him actually doing it, that's how he got convicted. But there's my point, right? if I'm nice to somebody, I provoke them. I wear a short skirt, I'm provoking someone. If I have too much alcohol and I kiss someone, that's an invitation to have sex? I don't think
Yeah.
so.
No.
You know, but I struggle with this, and I know that this is a very difficult episode for me to even put out because I know that it brings up a lot of emotion in me. It brings up a lot of emotion in you. And I'm sure it's going to bring up a lot of emotion in a lot of people, but we can't not talk about it. This is something that needs to be addressed. And I think the more that we speak about it, the more life we give to it. There's a thing to be said about being female and having to constantly be looking over our shoulders and walk with keys in our hand in a parking lot. It's it's a really infuriating thing for me to feel that I can't be safe wherever I go because I have been violated so many times
Hmm.
that I'm constantly on edge. I just said this to a friend the other day. They had said something about, this place being creepy and this haunted house. I said, to be honest, I'd rather be with the dead. I'm more afraid of the living because the living are the ones that have harmed me, you know?
Yeah.
The dead, they're dead. They're not going to do anything to me
They
other
just
than
want to
scare
see us.
me.
Yeah.
Right. So to be honest, it frustrates me that we have to feel constantly on guard and constantly afraid of what we wear and maybe the look that we give someone. Like, again, offering someone a piece of gum and I am being accused of being too
Ask.
nice and that I asked for this.
Yeah.
Really? I'm so grateful that he was convicted, but it's a it's a frustrating thing for me to feel that someone could even just try to say that I wanted to have someone's hands between my legs because I smiled at him and gave him a piece of gum.
Hmm. Even I
Ridiculous.
grew up in a Catholic school system, and even that system, like nothing against Catholics or any religion, but when I grew up in that Catholic school, they made sure that we did not have, we couldn't wear skirts, we couldn't wear tank tops, because it will give the boys the wrong impression. And that's what they drilled in our heads
Yes,
from a young age growing up. And it's like, well, maybe that's where the problem's also starting because you're putting that in people's heads, right?
exactly.
Like
Exactly.
it's just wrong.
How about you teach the boys to not look at women as sexual beings like that and
Exactly.
think that
Yeah.
you can have a right to their bodies? Like, how about we teach them that? I have two boys, and let me be clear. I always say that God gave me two boys so that I could learn to love men again and to raise children and men in this world that would treat women with the utmost respect. And why can't everybody do that with their boys and their kids? And
Yeah.
it's not just women that are being violated, it's men as well. And,
Yeah.
I think I was telling you this, I went to the Stand Against Sexual Assault gala this year with Danae Meyer. She's from Virgin Radio. She's a co-host of this event. And at one point, the host had gotten on the stage. She had been assaulted multiple times, I guess, by her teacher here in Calgary. And she got on the stage and she said, "This is going to be the first time in 5 years that I'm going to do this, but I invite anyone that's been assaulted to come on stage with me." And this guy at my table jumped up right away and onto the stage. And I was like, oh my God, I have to go up there. I went up there with, I probably would say 30 something people, men and women, and we all held hands and everybody was sobbing and the entire audience stood up and they were clapping and you could feel the amount of love pouring out from their souls, from their hearts, from their eyes to all of us on stage. And to sit there and stand beside so many men and women that had been violated was just something that I had never experienced in my life. And I was so overwhelmed to know how many men were on that stage with all of these women. And I thought, Jesus, like, when does this end? Why does this
Yeah.
have to happen in this life? Why do we have to go through these lessons? Like, what is it that this
Yeah.
we need to
Like,
learn
why
on
is it
this
still
earth?
happening? Yeah.
Yes, right. And that's where I felt it was so important to do an episode like this to put a voice to the people like us who are suffering in silence and that are afraid to say anything. The men out there, like honestly, it just breaks my soul thinking about the traumas that not only women are violated and sexually assaulted and raped, it's men too. And I cannot believe that anyone in this world thinks that they have the power over someone else in a sexual manner. It's ridiculous. You could see how heated I'm getting. I'm just,
Yeah.
it's infuriating to me. And I want it to stop. I want it to end. And I know that that's not probably going to happen and it's not possible, but I can make a difference by giving the people out there who are suffering behind closed doors a bloody voice to say something, to speak up and maybe save someone else, to use their intuition, to learn more about those red flags, to learn more about when you get that gut feeling, to just listen to it. You know, that's
Yeah.
what I'm hoping from this episode. I really think that talking about assault, abuse, violations, however you want to call it, I think it's so important to speak about it. And one of the things that saved my soul, and I think I said it to you that day, was an angel in disguise told me in Costa Rica when I was living down there, right about the time that I wanted to start a family. Um, she turned to me, told me her story about being assaulted by two men. And I'm looking at this girl going, why is she telling me this story? But she said some very powerful words to me. And what she said, she looked me right in the eyes and she said, Karina, they may have had my body, but they didn't have my soul.
Mhm.
And it was one of those things that I tell any of my friends or clients that have been assaulted that very same saying, because it's one of those things that's true. You can have my body. You think that you got a part of me, but you didn't get my soul. You don't get to have that.
Yeah. It's that when you told me that it helped a lot.
Yeah, think about that for a second,
Yeah.
right? What did they get? What did they get?
They had fun for however many minutes and that was it.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
you weren't even conscious, nor was
Yeah.
I during a few of my assaults. I was unconscious and drugged right up. So I
Yeah.
look at that, I'm like, you had my body. You definitely didn't have my soul. Because guess what? My soul was floating outside of my body in a safe space,
Yeah.
right? That's how we
Yeah.
have to look at it. And I'm really proud of you for being able to come on here and talk about this so openly because I have discussed all of my assaults on this podcast and I know that I've had many conversations with my husband about it saying that I over the last 5 years I've told him every time that I was going to be talking about another assault that I had been through and he kept saying to me if this is going to help people then you speak up and you say something and I think it's important that you do share this with others and that you are so not alone. And I know that's so cheesy to say, even, hey, you're not alone, but you really are not alone in this. You were guided to someone who's experienced this. I know someone else very close to me that also experienced this. And I think I told you that. And when you when you go through something so traumatic, when you feel so violated because they took that from you, if we had a chance to fight, if we had a chance to fight them off, I think it doesn't, I don't think it would feel any different. A violation is a violation. But when someone gives you something that takes you out of the state of consciousness, that to me is a coward move. It's a
Hmm.
coward move. I wish I would have had a fighting chance at least. I know you would think the same.
Yeah.
It's an extra violation, I would say. Is there anything you want to say about this stuff?
Um, ooh, I'm being put on the spot now. I think like going back to you talking about like what happened, that when you like the last time I saw you, you told me, you got to talk about it. You can't have that stagnant energy just sitting in you. It's gonna eat you up. And yeah, you're right. Like you have to talk about this stuff because if you don't, you're not releasing that energy, you know?
And some
Yeah.
people would argue that. They would say, well, if you talk about it, you're bringing energy to it. I've never looked at it like that, not as a Reiki master. I look at when we stifle things and we hold energy within us, it goes down into a little box in our sacral chakra. That's why most people's sacral chakra is out of balance, or they have a lot of pain in that lower abdomen area because those little boxes get closed and tightened and locked away, and nobody wants to look at that stuff because they just bury it like you did, like I did.
Yeah.
And I think talking about it opens that box and lets it out like a little bird that's stuck in a cage. Let it fly away and let it go. Right. So I definitely would argue that and say, no, I think it needs to be talked about. I think we need to put a voice to anything that's traumatic and then choose, it's a choice to heal from it and let it go. And it's like I say this a lot too. It's like a book. So you've already read that story. Put the book away. You can put it on the shelf. You can see it. That's your story. Yes. But you don't need to reread it. We need to move on. You can't change the past. All we can do is write the future. And that's it. Right?
Yeah.
So hopefully today I guess I'm just hoping that we can open the doorway for others out there that might be listening that might also have that experience of, hey, oh my goodness, something doesn't feel right within my body. Oh my goodness, there's a memory there that I might not want to look at. Maybe it's time for them. Maybe this episode will open that doorway for them to start the healing process as well. And as much as I think sometimes, even for myself, I'm like, God, wouldn't it have been better if I just buried it all and didn't have to deal with it? But that's not
But then
what
it
we
will come
came
back
here
to you
for.
later.
It will come back, and if it
Yeah.
doesn't come back to you with a memory, it'll come back with
Physical symptoms and stuff.
physical symptoms,
Yeah.
yes, and relationship issues
Mhm.
because we shut down and we don't know how to be loving or intimate with a partner. Like there's so many ways that
It
these
can
traumas
affect
will
your
come up.
life like 10 times more if you just sit there and like let it stew. And if you're not dealing with it, if you're just burying it, it will affect other aspects of your life, like times 10.
It really will. I believe
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I get so passionate about talking about assault. And I just want to make a difference. I just want to really, really help people. I don't know, like I guess just going through so much myself and not just once, but so many times, I feel that I I don't want it to be for nothing. I want it to be so that I can make a difference in so many people's lives by just opening that doorway for them.
hmm
And I hope this episode will do that.
I also want to add to, I feel like whenever you're, you know, dealing with your stuff, whenever you have like a distinct memory that keeps popping up or something like a different memory of whatever happened, like a new part, just say, like that's like a whole other level of healing that still needs to be dealt with too. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, whenever you're having flashbacks or a certain memory keeps coming up, like there's still deeper
Yes.
layers of healing that need to be healed. So if that memory or if that thought just keeps coming to you, there's still healing that needs to be done.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I would say if that happens, to sit with it,
Yeah.
try to go back. It's not always easy to look at those memories because we both know it's difficult, but if it is coming up, yes, it does need to be looked at, felt, dealt with, and healed. And I
hmm
think that's where I struggled too many years ago when this whole journey started for me with Reiki and everything. I had a lot of flashbacks from my childhood. And, I'd be sitting there going, well, what the hell was that? And I would brush it aside, like, no, no, I'm crazy. Like, that doesn't mean
Yeah.
anything. And then what was happening to me was when I would go to bed at night and I would, close my mind off or try to close my mind off, these flashbacks were getting stronger and stronger. And it was hard to really wrap my head around what I was seeing and feeling. But I know that when those memories were coming up, I started to feel like vomiting. And that's how I knew that something had happened to me as a kid. And so I was forced to really look at all of those traumas and sit with it, allow the memories to come to the surface. And boy, it wasn't pretty. I'm even cringing now thinking about it because it was so difficult. But I had to let them come to the surface and I had to start the process of healing because I was just turning to all the things to numb it, to numb that weird feeling that I had that I knew something had happened as a child, but I didn't quite know what. So I just kept turning to drugs and alcohol to be like, no, I'm fine. Everything's good. I was
Yeah.
so far from fine. And I think it's important that we allow ourselves to feel the ick, the terrible
Sinking feeling, the
sinking feeling.
everything.
Yes,
You really have to feel it to heal it.
that's right. How
Yeah.
can we, if we, how can we heal it if we don't allow ourselves to feel it all? I mean, it's impossible. We have to sit with it and go within and go, okay, that feels horrible, but there's no way around it. You have to go through it. That's just the
Yeah.
way it works, right? And so I think you're very, very right about discussing how those memories can pop up. And sometimes we think, well, maybe we're imagining it, or nah, that can't be right. But
Yeah.
if we sit with it long enough, it'll come and we can work through it and heal it. And trust me, it's not pretty, but on the other end of it, it feels very freeing to come to a place of even me talking about it. I can get a little bit of the ick factor, but it doesn't trigger me the way that it used to, nor does it trigger you the way that it used to. I know you
Yeah.
used to be triggered when I would mention something. I'd see your face and I'm like, oh, she's still going through it.
Yeah.
I
Even
can,
watching TV, if something was on TV about like sexual assault, I'd be like, nope, turn it off. I'm done. I can't watch this. And I'd
yeah.
be sick to my stomach. But like now I'm like, okay, yeah, you
Yep,
know?
we can still feel uncomfortable. We can never really say, oh, we're going to be numb to it or not feel anything. We will feel when we watch something on TV or we hear about an assault on the news. We're still human. We're still going to feel it, but it won't trigger us and put us into a dark place again because we have worked through so many layers, really. I guess that's how I could say it is it's layer after layer.
Hmm.
And we just peel them away one layer at a time. And that's all we can do. But I think what is important is that when there is an assault or any form of abuse, I think it's important to recognize that it doesn't define us. It's just a
No.
little chapter in a book that we can't go back and change, but we can heal from it. And we can choose our future. Like, and what it taught me, and I hope that you can say the same, is that it taught me to be more in touch with my intuition, more in touch with that icky feel when I would meet someone that made me uncomfortable. Whereas back in my younger years, I was pretty naive and I did have those feelings, but I really ignored them. I ignored them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, me too.
Would you say that that night you had any red flags? Maybe you could share that with everyone.
Yeah, I definitely did, and I completely ignored it. Like I remember having a thought like, nope, it's time to go. Go right now. And I didn't listen to it.
Wow.
And I should have. But that comes back to what's also helped me in my journey is forgiveness. Um, I've learned to be more forgiving for to myself. Even though I didn't ask for what happened to me to be done, I I still need to forgive myself for taking that pill and, not listening to my gut feeling. So that's another thing that I've learned in all this.
I'm so glad you said something about that. It's so true. I think we talk about forgiveness a lot in so many different episodes, and people assume that it's forgiving the other person, which I also think is crucial to set that karmic tie free, like sever the cords of attachment. I do agree with that and believe in that. But I think the biggest thing that we forget is to forgive ourselves.
Yeah.
Forgiving ourselves for putting ourselves in a predicament, forgiving ourselves for the choices that we made and not listening to that intuition because I know I beat myself up for years thinking I knew better. I had that gut feeling. I knew I shouldn't have done this. And instead of being, frustrated and angry with the perpetrator, I was angry at myself. I was
Yeah.
angry at myself for just not listening to that gut feeling.
That
And
guy. Yeah, for sure. I was there too.
right, I think that's
Yeah,
something that when you came for your Reiki and your Reiki master level, I was like, you have to work on forgiving yourself because we make choices, but it's part of the journey. It's what we signed up to go through. And when we can accept that, which is bloody hard for a lot of people to accept that we signed up to go through something so traumatic, but we did. We did. You did, I did, the other person did. And what we're here to do is to find that way home to peace in our souls. And the way to peace in our soul is to forgive ourselves on every possible level.
100%. And it's not easy, but it's the only way to move forward and let go.
It is the only way. Otherwise, you're going to sit there and
And
beat yourself
stew,
up.
and you're gonna have physical symptoms later on in life, harboring all that anger toward yourself and other people.
Yeah, and that's not going to get you anywhere. That's just going to put you in a rabbit hole of darkness. And is it worth it? You know, I always say, do you want to give that situation, that person that much power? Nah. Let's
Yeah,
take back our power, find our light within, and go and help heal the world because that's what we came here for, is to find our way to that love. And that, I know it's so cheesy, love and light, blah, 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 but it's true. I want to find that way through to the other side with a peace in my soul that maybe I don't have to come back again and learn these terrible lessons. Maybe this is my last one. I'd like to say
yeah.
that. Don't think so, but it would be nice. Another thing that I wanted to discuss was quite a few of my assaults had alcohol involved. I had alcohol in my system. And I think that I drank so much from a very, very young age because I was just trying to numb all of my childhood trauma. But in turn, that led to more trauma in my young adult life. And I really struggled with beating myself up over consuming alcohol, which led to those other assaults. And so that's something that I think is important to talk about. I should be able to have 5 beers in my system, 10 beers in my system, and still not be violated. I should still be able to be intoxicated without feeling that someone's going to take advantage of that because I'm not clear headed,
Yeah, I agree.
right? And even if I had, had 10 drinks that night, if I'm out of my mind, let's say, and I'm not in the right frame of mind, and I'm kissing someone, well, it doesn't mean that I deserve to be assaulted because I kissed that person. And at any point in time, that's where consent comes in. At any point in time, I have the right, any of us have the right to say, no, we don't want to pursue this any further. And we have the right to stop it. And yet, that is argued in the courts of law to a
Yeah.
degree, which is another thing that brings me back to our lovely judicial system.
Hmm.
But we should be able to have 10 drinks and get close to, a certain stage of intimacy and be able to say, we are not comfortable. We don't want to pursue this.
Yeah.
But in turn, that sometimes people can take that the wrong way and bad things
Or they
can
just don't
happen.
respect it. Yeah.
Yeah, some men don't respect that, and some women don't respect that either, right? I'm not just blaming men here. It's
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
women as well. I've seen lots of women who have violated men and women. And I just wish that everybody could have a voice and say, you know what, that doesn't work for me right now. Thank you, but no thank you. And just be able to walk away without feeling that they have to continue on. And I think that sometimes that happens even with not even being under the influence. Sometimes I think people can be in the heat of the moment and they don't know how to stop it. And some younger people just feel they have to continue on because they don't know how to say no at that point because
Yeah.
they feel obligated to do something that they might not feel 100% in agreement with. And this is where I think a lot of people struggle. So I guess my point is to say to anyone that's listening that's younger out there or just doesn't have a voice, You can say no at any time, and that is perfectly okay. You can wear whatever the hell you want out there, and that is perfectly okay. I wish we
Yeah.
could change the way that society views sexuality and provocative clothing. Ah, God, I wish I could just change the world, really. I'm trying, but I can only do so much. But I really hope that there's, someone out there listening today going, you know what? Maybe I just am going to go out this weekend and I'm going to wear whatever the hell I want and not feel guilty or feel that it's provocative and that I'm asking to be assaulted.
hmm
I don't know. I really hope that I'm getting my point across today. Sometimes I ramble when I get passionate about a certain topic, but that's how I feel about today and this episode. It was a hard one for me. I was like, oh, do we want to bring this up again? I've talked about assault so many times in different episodes, right? My own assaults, but I think I have to. I just have to. And that's where I said to you on a walk one night, I said, would you be willing to come on here and share this with me? Help me to help others understand that it is okay to say no. It is okay to forgive yourself if you didn't say no. It's okay to forgive yourself for taking that pill or having that extra drink. I think we just need to give everybody the permission to forgive themselves for whatever they are struggling with.
Exactly.
Well, Emma, I think that we got our point across, or I'm hoping that we at least did. And I just want to leave you all with this today. It is okay to speak up and tell someone if you have been assaulted. There is help out there, and I just want to let you all know that you're never alone. If you have been a victim of assault, I really hope that you reach out and speak to someone about it. Please know that help is always available if you need it. I want to thank you all so much for joining us today on the Divine Messages podcast. And Emma, thank you so much for coming on here and allowing me to get a little heated in our conversation and for you to speak so freely because I really think it's just going to help a bunch of people. I hope, even if it's just helping one person, we did our job.
Yeah. Thank you for Karina for having me on here.
If you would like to book a reading with me, I can be reached at www.divinemessages.ca or on Instagram at divinemessages333 or at the Divine Messages Podcast. Please bear in mind that the perspectives and opinions represented in this podcast are based solely on the Divine Messages interpretations. We can in no way be held responsible for the actions of our followers.